January 23rd, 2023. This is the Emini 2000 tick chart on the ThinkorSwim platform, PaperTrader. This is what the chart looked like today. Kind of was in a trading range, then it broke out, made another trading range, and then it kind of came back for about a 50% correction, and then it kind of corrected and rallied a little bit back up. So I'm going to go through my trades today. This is what my chart looked like after I drew it up. So it's a big rally up, consolidated for about a good 2 hours, then came back down, and looks like an M. So let's go back in and take a look. I had only taken 2 trades today. Both trades ended up green. Let's go through it. So in the beginning of the pre-market, I established a trading range of the lows and a little bit of the highs right here, but I don't trade the pre-market. So let's just go and see what happens if the market opens. So as soon as it opens, this is my opening. This is the opening price, and it kind of travels down, drew this downward trend channel, but it doesn't really give me any information at this point. It moves up, so I see it's possible first entry short, goes up, it's playing around the EMA. I see a possible second entry short, but I wasn't ready to take this trade. EMA is a little bit too flat, and then I keep waiting and sitting on my hands. So here I see a possible failed second entry short because it's first entry short followed by second entry short. So here, as soon as this is almost completing, I'm wondering if I should take an entry up here, but I thought it was a little aggressive, so I didn't do anything. I just sat. Okay, so now it comes back down one more. Makes me wonder, okay, it's probably good that I didn't take a trade. And then of course it does fail and it moves up, but I wasn't on that trade, and that's okay. Ticks along. Now these 2 trend lines I don't have established yet. Now it's testing the top of this trading range that I have drawn from the beginning of the day in the pre-market, and it doesn't look like it broke through. It's testing it and it finally breaks through. So at this point, I draw this as a preliminary start. This bigger one doesn't exist yet, so I just kind of drag it out of the way. Ticks upwards. So far, it's just touching 2 points, so in the beginning, I wasn't sure if this is where it was, so I actually had it lower right here. But now we have an overshoot and a break. So I'm watching carefully to see if it's going to come back within range. It kind of oscillates right here and stays in a trading range. So there's no trades for me here. I don't see a very good setup. And it keeps going. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe this trend channel is too conservative. That's when I actually take it up and have it drawn up here, and I like this better. It touches 1, 2, 3, and now it touches a 4th time. The bottom has only been confirmed 2 touches, but that's okay. It looks like it's kind of obeying what's going on here. Small little overshoot, does another trading range. No trade for me yet. Breaks down. Okay, so now I see right here, I have a first entry long. Getting ready. Looks like a second entry long would happen if I break above here. I like that it's holding and like the EMA that it's holding, and also came down and now confirmed the bottom of this channel a 3rd touch. So I'm watching carefully and I have my order ready to pretty much take 1 tick above here. And that's where I entered. I just wrote it up, was able to get out my core, and then I trailed my runner up. So it was at 4,775, which is right here, which is the cursor's 1 tick above this green highlighted bar. This is where I took off my core position, and then I trailed the runner all the way up, and then my runner got stopped out. It's the first trade of the day. I was pretty happy with that particular trade. It looked like it followed the rules. I like that it had 2 key entry points, the EMA as well as this bottom of the trend channel going upwards. So continue watching prices. I see a potential second entry short. So if I count this as a near low to be the first entry short, this is a pretty decent signal bar. It's coming up. I'm watching carefully to see if this is going to break below. But I don't like that it's counter trend. It's against the main trend. It looks like it might have worked if I had a very conservative profit target. It looked like it would have worked, but I wasn't on that trade, so I left it alone. Kept going up. So now it broke below this channel. So okay, I'm watching, thinking that's going to try to break up and make a new extreme here. This is a second entry long that I saw. First entry long here, second entry long. I didn't like this particular setup because the EMA is right here. It is going with trend, and it looked like it would have worked, but I just wasn't sure if so early in the trading day if the EMA would hold or if the EMA would force it back down. So right now it's choppy. At this point, I'm kind of happy I didn't take that trade. And of course it goes up. So now it's going up and it doesn't go back into the channel. And here I saw a second entry short, but it's also against the bigger trend. So I called it an aggressive entry. I'd have my pretty much my entry right here and hope to write it back down. If I were to take this trade, I ended up not taking this trade and it looked like it would have worked. Maybe just barely, depending on what your profit target is. If you had a larger profit target, you'd still be in a trade and probably be a little nervous. Here, for sure, you probably would have gotten stopped out. If you followed the rules and kept it one tick above, you probably would have gotten taken out right there. Also, at this point, I'm seeing a violation of this trend channel now. So I drew this bigger one, seeing if it might have fit better. So I kind of placed it about right here. I like this touch, this one, and this one. I only have one confirmation at the top. So at this time, I actually had two of these trend channels. Just wondering if this existing one is going to come back into play or if this new one will become the new and correct future channel. So prices keep moving up. It's respecting the EMA, which is an interesting sign that it's still very bullish. Goes up, kind of starts trending into this trading range again. I'm watching carefully. Didn't see any good setups that I like. You could say that there's a second entry long here. The second entry long problem is it's very close to the current high of the day. And also you're in this trend channel. If it breaks out, it might come back in. So right now I don't have enough information to feel confident taking any kind of trade there. And if I had taken the trade here, it would have failed. I would have gotten hit all the way back down to the EMA. So again, it's better to just kind of sit on my hands for me to see what happens. Here it shows that the EMA is holding, breaks up above. I do like that this new channel is confirming a fourth time because here's 1, 2, a third time, and it's where I started off. However, the top side is still unknown. So I actually, in the beginning, thought, okay, maybe this is an overshoot. I might have a conservative here where the top of it was. But what I did was I just took this trend channel and turned on this midpoint because this is what it looked like before without the dotted line. And of course, with the dotted line, it gives you a little bit of more guidance on maybe if it's a bullish imbalance, if it stays above, or if it's a bearish imbalance. And right now, it's kind of a bullish rally trend, but it's a little bit bearish because it doesn't want to go above and touch the highs again, at least at this point in time. So prices keep moving up. Again, it hits another trading range. I see another second entry long, but it's just barely because if you counted this and you said first entry long, second entry long, you also have 4 tests here. So it's very aggressive. You don't really know which way it's going to go. It can also come all the way back down to the EMA. So for me, it's kind of telling me don't trade. Don't try to take a trade. You might get burned. And in this case, if you did take the long, it would have worked, but you don't know it at the time. So it comes back, it breaks out. It's a failed breakout because it comes back into the trading range. It's trying to get back to the EMA, but the EMA is still too far away. Not too far away, but it's still away. And prices continue moving up. So I don't take any trades. Here I'm getting interested because this might touch this top here. Prices keep moving. And finally it does touch. So okay, I am pretty confident this is my trading range for the day at the moment. This is an early preliminary one, at least to get some idea of what's going on. And then this is the main one. Overall bias is bearish. It's rallying, goes along, and now it's pulling back, pulls back to the EMA. There's no real entry here. There's no second entries. You could consider a hidden second entry here if you wanted to count this as a first entry long and a second entry long. You could have. I didn't. I just kind of counted it very visual. Okay, there's only one clear first entry long. To take an entry here, you're trying to push it all the way back to the top. It could not, but I haven't seen enough to confirm or make me feel confident. It breaks down below the EMA. So here's a second entry long because you have a first entry long, second entry long. As soon as it broke above here, then you know that the second entry long is probably pretty good. However, in order to take a pretty safe trade. You'd have to take it one tick above this guy. But while this is forming, you don't really know that it was going to end up here. You know it opened here and it moved around. Then it finally closed up here. So if you wanted to take a trade, you'd have to take it probably safely one tick above here or put a limit order back here and hope it comes back and sweeps you up. I wasn't prepared, so I didn't take that trade. And if you did try to get a little bit safer entry down here, you would never have gotten filled. If you took it up here, you may or may not have gotten filled because this is a very rapid move. You'd have to take it up here. It's a little more risk because you don't know if you're going to get stopped out or it's going to hit the top here of this guy or it's going to keep going up. In this case, it kept going up, so the trade would have worked out. And now it looks like it hit a new high and it came back down. So I saw a first entry, second entry short here, and then a first entry, but it failed. And it failed right to the EMA. I didn't want to take a trade here playing off of this because it is counter trend to the overall bullish bias. On top of that, the EMA is right underneath, so I have no idea if it's going to hold. Right here at this time of day, when you're trading this live, you don't know if this is going to hold or is it going to break through or going to bounce back up. So in that case, it's not considered really high probability, a little bit of a dice roll. And in this case, if you did short, you would have been correct. So it's touching this bottom of this trading range now. So now I'm wondering, okay, is it going to break through? Is it going to hold? It's going to make a low. So it breaks out, tries to come back up once. The EMA is holding, comes back down, makes a new low for this trend line. And now I'm wondering, is it going to try to go up a second time to confirm for this guy? It holds again. Looks like there's this resistance here. So what I see is like a first entry short, and I'm sitting here getting very anxious, thinking, okay, well, is this going to be a second entry short or failed second entry short? And you can already tell I made a trade here. I was actually more bullish because I think it's going to make one push up. This is the second push up, and I have my order here ready. And as we go in, zoom in, we'll see. I sat there and I waited just for the trade to work for me. And right there, I took my trade right here, one tick above this triple test. Now, you could say that a triple test, I might be buying at the high, but I'm not sure I was buying at the high at this point because I don't really have a clear trading range. But I do know that the EMA is holding. The overall bias is bullish. So I was willing to have my trade here ready and then my stop down here in case it doesn't work. It's a little bit aggressive, I'll admit. It was a little bit of an aggressive trade, but I took it at 42.75, which is right here, which is above, one tick above these 5 points. And I got filled on this candle and it kept moving up. I was able to take my profit target, and then my runner got stopped out because I moved my runner's stop right to the entry. In this candle, I got my runner and my profit all in one go. And then it comes back down. I noticed there's one big leg down. There's some oscillation, and I figured there might have been a measured move coming up. And so it does make a measured move down to right here. And so it keeps trading left and right. I'm just watching, just being patient. I saw a second entry short here. I didn't really want to take it. A failed second entry short, excuse me. I didn't want to take it. Came here. So right now it looks like it's chopping sideways, which it is. It does for the next 2 hours. Kind of chops sideways. I don't see really any entry that I like. There's a second entry long here. This is a trade that I missed that I look back at hindsight and I thought it was probably a pretty decent trade because at this point I draw this trend line as most likely down here, but then I corrected it to be here. I saw it as a spike in the channel. And this one, the top of this trading range, trading channel is most likely here at that time. So I did see the first entry long, the second entry long here. This bar isn't the best signal bar. I wouldn't have necessarily taken it when it closed here because you'd have to take it engulfing. I probably would have placed it right here, one tick above, and you would have got swept up. The risk is you might get hit here. This was both a resistance and this time and a little bit of a support. So you don't really know which way it's going to go. If I had taken the trade, it would have worked, but I wasn't prepared mentally to see it and to capitalize on the trade. So if you see it as this is a new low, it's first entry short, followed by second entry short. It is counter trend, so I didn't want to take that kind of trade. Counter trend trade is a little risky against a big bullish movement right now, but you do get a lower high here. The problem with this lower high, it is counter trend, and now it's even closer to the EMA now, because if you didn't take it here with more room to the EMA, if you take it here, it's even more aggressive, especially since the overall bias is bullish. So you're taking an even riskier trade entry. So I didn't want to take it. I just sat on my hands. It ended up moving, and it would have stopped me out if I'd taken the short. I mean, if you said you took it up here, you might have gotten your scalp, but I'm not confident that that would have happened for me. So I just sat on my hands. Price action keeps moving, breaks above this resistance that I noticed. I have a blue arrow here, meaning I was wondering if there's a repeat of this consolidation here, same thing as right here, because it touched 5 times. Here, it also touched 5 times, and it looks like pressure was building up. It was kind of moving upwards, and it's being stopped by this resistance, but this resistance eventually broke. So here is not really a second entry, but I was wondering if I was worth taking a trade right here. I don't beat myself up too much because it is near the highs, so you don't really know if this is going to hold or it's going to break through. It ends up breaking through. It's just something that I noticed that I wanted to kind of keep a note of in case I see it again in the future. Of course, prices keep moving up, and so here at this point, I had redrawn this trading range to have the top of the channel up here. So now I see that it has an overshoot. I'm watching carefully because if there's an overshoot, most likely it's going to move pretty strongly back. So here I know I have first entry, and I know if overshoots, it's very, very dangerous to take a second entry inside this range because it might be super strong and push out. So I didn't look for a second entry long here just because of the overshoot. So prices kept moving down, it broke through. So now the overshoot's correcting to the other side, and then it goes into a trading range. Saw first entry, second entry long here, first entry, second entry. It's a little bit aggressive. It's all back to the EMA. I didn't take it, and then it immediately fails. So I saw a failed second entry long. So I don't know which way is going to dominate. So I decided not to take any trades. Watching as price moves, it tries to get up to the EMA. It doesn't make it, comes back down. At this point, I don't have this trend line drawn yet until this completes down to about here. Then I finally draw the descending trend line right here. So I watch as prices move down. I missed the trade, but that's okay. There wasn't really anything I felt strongly about. Keeps moving down, and now it's pretty clear that there's a correction, probably a full reversal happening. It goes down. This purple line is just the VWAP, which is just an indicator for me, and it moves down. I did see a second entry long, but it's counter trend. If I took this as a new high, it'd be first entry long, second entry long, but it's so far from the EMA. This is clearly moving down now. I didn't want to take this kind of trade. So all the way now it consolidates here. And if you'll notice, this is a pretty big correction. So it's probably a full-on reversal. Now, if you were to draw like a Fibonacci retracement, you would see from the top to the bottom, it already moved about 50% of this entire move from here all the way down to here. That's telling you that this isn't really a correction. This isn't going to come back and try to make a new high for this guy anymore, because that's clearly, this is old news now. What's dominating is this bearish trend line going down. So at this point, I shouldn't be really looking for long, but I shouldn't really looking for shorts either, because I don't really know what's happening. And so as prices keep moving, I'm just kind of sitting and waiting. It is getting kind of late in the day. It's about an hour left, and it gets into another trading range. And I kind of don't like what I see, because I don't know if I should be taking a long or a short. Sitting right around the 50% retracement. And you have first entry long, second entry long. The EMA is too flat. I don't like that. I'm not sure. I could have certainly taken an entry here saying, okay, it might have been a failed breakout and try to ride it back up to the top. But this window is a little too narrow for me. I just decided to sit on my hands. And of course, it does break out. At this point, I do draw this ascending trend line cutting up. Breaks out. I wonder if it's going to come back down. So I just sit and wait and watch. And it kind of oscillates. It's getting a little noisy. See, second entry long, but it fails. Because it comes to here. I think the EMA is going to hold. It doesn't. Breaks down and breaks through. So at that point, okay, I just need to sit on my hands. It's a little unclear what's happening. The EMA is cutting through a bunch of this price action through the center of candles. Something that I don't want to try to trade or try to figure out or hope. So I just kind of sit on my hands. This trend line is moving up, but it's not a very clean, established trading range or trading channel because it does touch once, twice, 2 times. So it's pretty good down here. Up here, so-so. I decided, okay, maybe I can move it up a little bit. So now it touches 1, 2, 3 because it looks a little cleaner now. But look at the time of day. It's too late in the day. I don't want to risk trying to have to get out of the trade before the day closes. So I ended up just watching all the way to the end. So it was a pretty interesting day. I did have to work on my patience because I know I saw certain moves happen without me, and I did get FOMO. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the 2 trades that I took, and that's how I saw the charts.